Why do steaks always taste better at restaurants? How do you cook this thing? Why is this so thick? These are questions I get asked a lot on the page. Let's go over that today.
Beautiful.
Black gloves versus white gloves with meat. Okay, now you don't technically have to use gloves when you're working with your proteins at home. Even in the restaurants, it's just something that they have us do if you're especially in an open kitchen, because it just looks better. Anyways, black versus white, why? I would use white gloves or the yellow gloves when working with meat, or even blue gloves, something that's not black. Okay, it's just anything that's not black, I'd say, or dark color, I wouldn't want to use with meat. This is something that I learned from very good butchers. When you're butchering steaks or anything for that matter, if, say, you accidentally snip some of this glove, you're not gonna be able to catch that. As opposed to snipping a little piece of the white glove, you're gonna be able to catch that right away. You'll see that on the meat. But the black glove kind of blends in with the darker colors, therefore, much better just to use the white gloves when butchering steak. That's just a little tip with gloves. Cool. Now I realized something. That actually might be very important with the steaks, and that is how you hold them in the refrigerator. This could actually affect the whole thing. Never wrap your proteins in plastic, and if you're going to, always paper to cover it. This is something I got from butchers as well. It just holds longer. It's gonna go bad sitting in the plastic like this. That's why this is leading me to what I'm about to say. Plastic versus paper. The plastic is gonna make it go bad faster. Don't ask me why, I don't know the science. I'm just telling you what I've learned from butchers and chefs that I worked with. But the way you hold it compared to how we would hold it. When I say we, I mean the restaurants I worked at. We would hold these in containers like this because we butcher a whole loin, like it's all together like this, cut it up, and then put it on a container with rack. And that goes straight into our low boys, which is like down below, a little refrigerator that we have on the line, or it goes into the walk-in like this, covered with paper and then plastic over. And that led me to thinking, reason one why I think they're better at restaurants than at home is because we hold them in this, that leads them to drying out a bit and not being as wet, so you can get a better sear on your steak. As you could see, this steak is not as wet as when you would pull it out of a package. Go ahead and try it out. When you buy a steak at the store, you pull it out of the plastic, you'll see like all that blood or wetness or whatever coming off of the steak. This is dry. If you want to mimic that, I would say pat it down good on a paper towel before cooking it off, or just, if you're not going to cook it immediately, hold it like this. Hold it on a rack or something in a pan, or even like in a pan on a paper towel with another paper towel over it if you don't have a rack. And that's how I would say to hold your meat. It's also gonna last long. I'm gonna get really real here for a sec, just so you could see. So this guy, it's not in a plastic package. It's sort of like nice, patted down dry. It's gonna get a good sear. This guy, on the other hand, this is pre-packed. It's already sealed in plastic. It's vacuum sealed. You take this guy out of the package and directly put it into a pan, you're not gonna have a nicer product. And this is another reason why I'd say steaks are good at restaurants, but at the right restaurants. Not throwing shade or anything, but you guys know those restaurants, those chain steak houses. I mean, I used to work at one when I was a kid in high school, Texas Roadhouse, for example, all kept in like vacuum sealed bags. And when you order a steak, they take it out of the damn bag and they cook it off. That's why you're not getting a good product at the chain steakhouses like that. Put it on a container, hold it like that in your fridge, or if you're gonna cook it immediately, I would say give it a good pat down with your paper towel. Oh, hey, what are you doing in my oven? Yeah, don't mind me, I'm just grabbing a pan. Why is the pan in the oven? It's just how I dry my pans off after I'm done washing them, but hey, come out real quick. Let's talk about the pans real quick. These are usually my three favorites. Stainless steel cast iron skillet, carbon steel. Now these are all three amazing choices that get you really amazing results if you know how to use them. So let's go over that. This right here, for one, stainless steel. It is a non-stick pan if you have high heat, good amount of fat. Cast iron skillet, same thing, high heat, good fat on there, but also you gotta season it. With these Staub ones, you don't because it's enameled. This guy is tricky. I love this pan, but this one takes a little more skill because it's so thin. Now, because it's so thin, you're gonna have a heat that is less controllable, and it's gonna be more controlled on the thicker pan like the cast iron skillet or the stainless steel that's nice and thick. So yeah, those are the pans, and no, I'm not grilling today, although I do love a grilled steak, but we're talking about steak at home here. I'm going with the cast iron Staub pan here. I'm sure you guys already know this, but cooks don't sprinkle high because it looks cool. If you sprinkle like low, you're gonna have less dispersion of that salt. If you sprinkle high, it's gonna disperse like rain. So that's why you make it rain the salt, so you have an equal dispersion of salt. Yeah, salting. I'm still learning every day. I've learned that if you put black pepper on the meat before cooking it, that black pepper can burn because it's a spice. So I stopped putting black pepper on the steak before cooking it. And yeah, I mean, I've cooked thousands of steaks, and all thousands of those steaks had black pepper. So still learning. Now, if you're gonna take away anything from this video, please take this away, and that is cooking the steak in its own fat. Specifically, if you're working with a steak that has a fat cap as nice as this. You take the steak onto a cast iron skillet or pan, whatever, fat side down, and I'm slowly rendering that fat. Something that a buddy of mine told me, he's also a home cook YouTuber, Benji, really good friend and mentor of mine. Something he told me, home cooks could never catch up to you or any other chefs when making steak, or almost like anything that they're skilled at making. Like for me, I've made thousands of steaks, and that's what he was saying. He was saying, like, I have the repetitions. I've made so many of these that I'm so confident at making it, as compared to someone that does not work in a restaurant and has only made, say, maybe 20 steaks in their life. Who knows? But I still think you can make a really good steak at home if you just follow these simple steps. When I would get home at like 1, 2 in the morning after work, most of the time when I was working in kitchens, we would drink, right? So I would be kind of buzzed or whatever, and I would just toss this on the stove, take a steak out, and literally do this. And I'd be like kind of walking around, winding down in my apartment to like chill out and go to bed. All I'm saying is this is so foolproof. I'm gonna show you like my drunk method of cooking a steak. And this method it's very simple. And I don't think anyone has shown this on the internet. So that's why I'm gonna show this. I've shown you guys on my channel countless times how to make a fucking steak. But I've never shown you my drunken method. And I think you're gonna like it. So, all right, come here. When working with a fat piece of meat like this fatty I got right here, we're obviously not going to crank it high, right? Well, wrong, my friend. Because remember, the drunk method, when we walk away, we want a high heat pan. But typically I would say no high heat for something this thick. Medium heat, whatever. Well, also, it depends on the doneness, right? If you want it to be a rare steak, hell yeah, crank it, high heat. Well done, really low. Okay. I'm just slightly pressing it down so I can get a nice even sear. Now, if you wanted to, you don't really have to with steaks. You could put a little press on it, like a chef's press or a pan, whatever, and that'll give you a nice even sear. All right, you guys are following along. I've got a nice sear going. I'm gonna flip it now. And now watch this, the heat turned off. Now the heat is off. I'm gonna let it just go in this cast iron skillet. I'm just gonna walk away, that's it. Okay, now I'm really not kidding. I would just turn it over, walk away, maybe toss a little spat of butter in there and just let it go. And I would just let it go, let it chill in the pan, and it's like ready when I want it. When I'm already winded down for my night, it's already been like 10 minutes, pull it out, and it's cooked to my liking. This is a method that I would call the drunk method, because it's kind of like set it, forget it, get a sear, turn it over, turn it off, let it go. If you want to get your liking doneness, I would say cook it to your liking, you know? Well done, obviously, lower heat, it's gonna take longer. That's why cooks hate getting well done orders. Oh, this also leads me to the type of cut and how I got these thick cut steaks. So for one, you're gonna ask your butcher, hey, can I have the steak like this thickness or whatever, and they'll cut it for you. Because you're not gonna really find steaks this thick at the store. And it's nice to have a thick one like this because you could just make like one big one for a group of people, give them a huge slice, and it's a nice presentation. It's also better. Anyways, something that to take note of is you want to get a steak that doesn't have the chain in the middle. This slightly has it, as you can see, barely, but there are some cuts that will have the chain running all through here, and that's usually the end part of that loin, and it's gonna be super chewy, and that means you're just gonna have less meat to eat because it's hella chewy. Usually we would save those for well done orders because they can't tell the difference anyway. Look, I'm not hating on well done orders. Like, I sometimes like a well done steak if it's Wagyu, because Wagyu is super decadent and I want to render that fat. But yeah, for a well done order, we would save those really chewy cuts. That's something to keep in mind with the butchering. But as you can see, it's still going, it's off the heat. That's also why I would say cast iron skillet or a stainless pan, because it holds the heat, it holds the heat, it disperses it evenly, as opposed to the carbon steel pan where it's gonna lose that heat right away. And you're gonna have to really watch it. This is why carbon steel is so forgiving, by the way, and also it's cooking in its own fat. Like, can you see this? It's literally, this is all beef fat. So honestly, what I could do here is I could rest the pan on something like that, and then I can just sort of let it chill in a little bath of its own beef fat. Huh? See, that's thinking right there. Let it chill in its own fat and rest in its own fat, we're good. And that is also why steaks are so much better in restaurants, is because we let it rest on a rack and then we just flash it before sending it out and it's good to go. Because if you don't let it rest, that meat's not gonna relax and it's gonna be tough, it's gonna be chewier. And also you do not need to let your steak sit out at room temp because it's gonna be ice cold in the middle. That's already been debunked by people like Kenji Lopez and other people on the internet. But yeah, you do not need to rest your steak before cooking it. Just let your little chunk rest. Okay, look, the pan has been chilling on the side for a good like 10 minutes and the steak is cooked exactly to my liking. Now, I'm gonna set this aside and just show you a quick little pan sauce. This is that same pan with all of the beef fat in there. Now we have a nice jus to put on our steak. This will pretty much set it apart right here. A beautiful sauce like this with all the flavor. It definitely ups it up. Although I do fucking love A1. Like, come on. You can't go wrong with this stuff. And if you love A1, you might also love Bulldog. I'm out because I love Bulldog sauce so much too. That's a delicious sauce as well that you find in an Asian market. But I mean, don't judge it. It's got a nice tanginess to it. It's good. But this stuff, so much better. It's called a jus. This is a quick version of a jus. There's a longer version, more better version of a jus. I could show you at some point if you want, let me know. But quick version in the pan. Now at the end of the day, I want you to be able to handle your meat with confidence. Like, just look. I put this in the pan, I let it sit, and it is perfectly cooked to my liking. Beautiful crust and everything. This is how I like it right here. Medium rare steak, glistening in its own fat, cooked in its own fat. It's so easy to do. And I told you again, this is like my drunk method of doing it. Flip it, then let it sit in the pan, and you're gonna have a sear on both sides. And that's why I think steaks are better at restaurants, and that's why I think you can do it at home. Beautiful.